All right, what's going on, everyone? I am pumped to be here with my good buddy Greg Marthaler of Sfy Solutions for You out in Colorado. Greg has worked with probably at this point hundreds of different contractors. He used to be a roofing contractor, roofing company owner. So he's got a lot of really good insights as to what are the common denominators for success. What are some of the stumbling blocks that he sees over and over again? And he's really someone that just leads with that giving first mentality and really lives that. So I've enjoyed getting to know Greg over the past few years in the industry, someone I look up to and respect tremendously. So Greg's going to share some insights, take some notes, and this will be a good one. So what's up, Greg? Hopefully you can live up to that intro there. So
Right. Yeah, it's all right. I have no problem admitting if I don't. So,
all right, no, we're all yeah.
right. Yeah. I think that's probably also one of the great things of leaders, right? Like admitting when you're wrong. I think a lot of leaders never admit when they're wrong, don't hit their mark, and being able to shift and pivot. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here, man. I love talking about business and how to help people grow their business and get to the next level.
Cool. Yeah, I know you and I had a good conversation at RoofCon, I guess, last year, about 9 months ago. And
Yeah.
I know you just love talking shop. So that's why I want to get you on here to share some of that. So we'll dig into some of those lessons and all that. But first, give us a snapshot of who's Greg, what's SFY, what's going on?
Yeah. So me, as an individual, I'm probably just a standard normal church going guy. I've done, I don't know, 20, 25 years of children's church and youth ministry together. I'm a real big kid at heart. I'm certainly sure if you guys go to any of the trade shows that I'm at, you'll definitely see a flying chicken flying around. I am the guy that causes all the chaos. I'm the one that probably shot you in the forehead or the back of the head with the chicken. And I'm expecting you to shoot me in the forehead and the back of the head with the chicken and bring some excitement back to just life. I think, a lot of times there's a lot of serious things, a lot of things that go wrong. And every now and then we just need a good laugh and a good chuckle to help us get there. SFY is doing great. We're doing really well. We're doing here as far as services, we offer writing estimates. So we write estimates for contractors. We will then supplement that estimate for the roofing contractor on the insurance side. We also do this for the roofing and water mitigation space. We got into that space probably in 2019. We'll do sketching if they need a sketch of a house. We'll also do the notice completion. And probably the biggest thing that we just started beginning this year is Sfy University, which is just basically part of SFY. And that's where we teach contractors how to supplement their own claims, teach their supplementer, not necessarily the hard skills of how to write the line items, but more so actually how to communicate with the adjuster and what to say to the adjuster.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw that on your website. I think that's really valuable. Why did you start that? Like how did that come about?
Yeah. So, as we just got bigger, I noticed the space, people just weren't defending as well as they needed to in the space. And I saw a really big need, and I saw a lot of people just teaching like, hey, this is what you write, this is what you do. And internally at SFY, got in 2018, we started when I had a huge growth spurt, is how do you train and keep the same type of quality of product to people, especially when it's like a sales type end, right? And I always relate this to a roofing company. You have your sales guy that you love, that you wish you could duplicate. You have your other sales guy that, he's good. You're glad he's on your team and he's doing well. And then we always have these other sales guys. You don't know really why they're part of your company, but they exist in there. And part of you is to make you feel like you have a bigger company, but they're there, right? They sell like one deal, maybe two a month. They're struggling, like they're living on top ramen. You're like, just go out and knock doors, right? And so how do you elevate all the people to have the same type of passion and drive and quality work, right? And so the only way I was able to do that is we do training 30 minutes every day in small little increments. And we do rebuttal training twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays when we do rebuttal training. And that's when I began to really notice the quality of work and consistency of work come together, right? And that's like, how do you manage, I think I'll do over 10,000, probably 11,000 claims this year. How do you manage 11,000 claims and keep a consistent product going out all the time, right? And so you have to train, you have to get people skilled up, you have to audit, you have to do all these things. And I just saw this huge gap in the space, and that's really what I saw is how do we help the industry move forward? And since I was able to do it internally, I was like, I can just take what I'm doing internally and help it go externally with it.
That's awesome. How's that been received so far?
So far, it's going really good. And I haven't done a ton of pushing on it, right? So there's a lot of it's just like back end website building stuff, making sure our content is correct, right? So we're kind of doing, hey, look, is this really what people are interested in? I know we had done a couple of different versions of how to do it. Like we had originally, I was going to do like a 3-week program, and the goal of it was to really get them like really good at supplementing, but no one's interested in taking their individual off work for 3 weeks. So then I broke it down to where it's just like 2 days. So people can take 2-day stints in creating just modules. So I'm kind of still in some of that, like just refining all that before I really start pushing it pretty hard. But I'm probably about another 3 weeks, or probably about 2-3 months, actually, not 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months. I'll be full on pushing hard. And I'm kind of, when I build stuff or expand a business side of it, I use a model of not everything needs to be perfect. And I prefer get something out the door and let's push it, because your perfect model that you build is going to get restructured probably a month or two down the road. So just build some big major frames, push it out. Let's see what it looks like. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes. It's not the end of the world, right? You're still going to do something decent. But then as it goes down, you're like, hey, look, I didn't like this. I'm glad we didn't build an entire website based on this whole thing that you're going to can later. So I find pushing it and then developing it as it goes down yields you a better product at the end.
I agree 100%. We started our marketing training program back in 2019. And we started it with like this kind of beta group of six clients, 6 contractors. Right. And we were straight up and we said, hey, we're like, this is a brand new thing. You guys are like the pilot program. We're starting this thing and we're building it as we go. And you guys are going to give us feedback and help us build it. And that was huge. I mean, that was, is that lean startup or whatever they call it. But like, that was huge for us, because you can build this thing and you can be romantic about wanting to push it out to the market and hold on to your ideas, or you can get like that direct feedback from your market as far as like what they want, what they need, what's going to make their lives easier. A big part of, as you know, like delivering training and university style is like, and we were just talking about this morning in our team meeting, like it's just this constant challenge of how do we simplify things? How do we make everything more as efficient as possible? How do we give people what they need without overwhelming them? We know everyone's already busy. We don't want to add another huge thing to their plate. So I like that challenge. It's fun. Yeah.
You keep it super simple, right? Like I live by that phrase all the time, especially as your company grows, the more simple you can keep it, the faster you're able to scale, the more complicated it gets, the longer training curve takes, all of it.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of size of company, on your LinkedIn, it says like over 40 employees. I assume it's more than that by now. Like what's your team look like?
We have about 70 people right now on the team. And there's a lot to really get a company to that size, you definitely need to have great key leaders. You probably can manhandle, power drive, whatever you want to call it, like probably a team of 20, maybe 25. After that, like you're way beyond your bandwidth, like way beyond in managing, and you'll never scale, right? Because if you're doing that, you never get there. So probably my biggest thing is making sure to hire the right people, right? So I've been doing, I just did a culture index test, which is like a personality test type thing to help find the right key individuals that have the right tendencies to be in leadership positions. And then I'm also a big fan of, if I'm going to give you responsibility, that means I also have to give you the authority. So if I give you responsibility, but I don't give you the authority to do something, then that means I'm not making you a leader. And that means also that you may make a decision that I disagree with 100%, and I have to be okay with that.
Right.
right? And it goes back to me coaching that leader on what I would have done different and holding to what they said. And I think a lot of people struggle with this segment of their empowering leaders, because otherwise they'll never be able to lead the great, like you'll never be able to step away from your company. If you want to be able to step away from your company, let's say you want to take a month off. Let's say you've been grinding for 3-4 years. How do you step away from your company? How do you, like, obviously you're going to check in, but like, if you want to go on vacation and not stress, like the whole thing's going to fall apart, it's because you haven't given people the authority to make decisions for you and coach them, right? And it's a relationship. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. So that's something that I think is really important in growing.
I like that a lot. So give them authority with responsibility. And that's probably, you probably see that a lot. Owners give responsibility, but they hold on to that authority and they keep themselves as the bottleneck for all those decision-making, processes. Yeah, that makes so much sense. What has been like some of your influences? Like, do you follow a system like EOS or like leadership books or?
So I do read quite a few leadership books. So for a while I was trying to do like one a week. I didn't feel like I was retaining any of the information. I felt like I was just smashing information.
Yeah.
So I do probably now 1 to 2 a month. My last one I just read was Who Moves My Cheese. Okay. I really liked it. And then I also gave that book and mentioned that book to a lot of people within my company, because we're at a point now, I mean, with 70 people, and if we're going to push to try to get to maybe 100 by the end of the year. Wow. Like you got to think like all the adjustments that'll have to come within the entire organization. And I think some other people that struggle with growing companies is how you ran your company with 5 people is different than how you're going to run it even with 7 to 8, right? Like that little bit of growth, all your processes and systems are going to adjust, like all of them, right? And you have to be okay with that. And your team has to be okay with that. And so as well as it comes, like other positions and opportunities are going to open up that you didn't even know you needed until you got there. There's a job in our company. It's quite hilarious. We call it the pigeon. That's literally the title of the job. So the pigeon. And so we go in and out of people's CRMs, right? To manage their information. And we take our information that we have and we put it in their CRM. And then we go to their CRM, grab their information and give it to us, right? So it's a way to communicate our database together. Well, there's so many different CRM systems out there. So it's not like I just can tell everyone, hey, you have to use this one. So we go to any CRM that they have, but it's literally someone has to go in and take information. It's literally like a pigeon, literally taking a message from one spot and bring it back and forth. And that's how the job came out. And I never thought we would have someone just taking information and moving it back and forth. But it's needed, right? And so it's pretty cool to see growth.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow, that's some tremendous growth. That's really cool. Congrats on that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And so you've worked with, we used to own a roofing company, right? Or managing partner?
I did. Yeah. So managing partner with a lot of people know him, Jonathan Sherwood. And so I got in the roofing space. I was originally a mortgage broker. Buddy of mine was crushing in the roofing space and he needed help. I rode with him for a week, said, hey, look, quit my job. Worked with him for like 6 months. I said, I knew how to do this, started my own roofing company. John came apart and we grew the company for about 8 years and we sold it. So there's a lot of, I actually understand a lot of the pain points. Now, we didn't grow it to like a $10 million company or anything like that. We got to about 4 million or so. But I mean, I understand all the pain points. I understand the pain points of when you're doing about $1 million in sales, and that's like a 1-2 man band, maybe 3-man band operation, potentially moving to 4. Cash flow management. How do you make sure you manage your cash flow? Marketing. Am I doing my marketing right? Where is this going? Especially nowadays, internet marketing was nowhere near at all developed where it is today. And, I was a big fan of hard school knocking doors. I know the ROI on it. It's really good and grinding, right? So but it's hard work, right? I mean, you got to manage door knockers. Door knockers recycling door knockers all the time. So you get them for like a month and you got to go find a new one. You got to retrain them, right? So it's just training constantly. Someone's got to manage them. Sometimes they don't have cars. They're not they have life problems, right? No one's, sometimes some are really good, but a lot of ones I found, then, you kind of had to help them to help you get work.
Got it. Right.
Yeah. So seeing all the roofing stuff and growing, selling a company is pretty exciting. I don't know if, a lot of people have never really gotten to the point of building something and selling it. So that's always a fun. I think as an entrepreneur, like I have arrived, I built something that someone else wants, is willing to pay actual money for. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I talked with someone else yesterday who had sold his company, and it's like this proud moment. Like I did it. I made it, like graduating college or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
That's really cool.
It really is. It really defines, I think, as you as an entrepreneur, like internally, like this is like an internal thing. Like, even though you could have a great company, but until you get to the point of selling it, you brings a different level of confidence when you lead.
I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I've never done that, but perhaps someday we'll do that.
Right.
So, so with that experience and working with hundreds of companies, like, do you provide any, I don't want to say business coaching, but like, do you help your clients with other issues besides, your core services?
Sometimes, probably the biggest thing we help with is, so like supplementing sometimes takes time, right? Like it's just, for us to see a really good supplement, like to carry it all the way to finish, it can take anywhere between 45 to 90 days to see a really good, what I would call the most amount of increase that you can get on a claim. And so if clients are trying to push files close sooner, I'll just blatantly ask them, are you running a cash flow issue? Do you need to manage your cash flow, right? Because, obviously when storms hit, your expenses go up quite a bit, but you need the cash flow to manage all the increase of your bills, your marketing costs, your suppliers, your crews, and all that other stuff. So I'll just play like, hey, look, let's go through, instead of shutting down all your files, let's go through a selected group of files that you can get extra cash flow that we think are good. Let's close these down. Let's leave these other ones. Because I'm a bigger fan of trying to maximize your profit margin in your file than the speed of what it does. Right. Because especially since I know it's like, so let's say, I need an extra 30 to 45 days. Well, an extra 35, 45 days, I can get you an extra $1,000, $2,000 on a file. Right. And that adds up over time. And that's where, like, I get your point. Like, hey, look, we got $2,500. It's great. Like, we can close this out, but I could have got you another $2,000 on a file. I mean, that adds up, depending on how people are paying their sales guys. I mean, that's an extra $1,000 to the bottom line.
Yep.
And you start multiplying that through, 200 jobs. Now we're talking some real serious money. And so it's kind of where I kind of lean more towards. I know a lot of people do more on speed, and there are other companies that, like myself, that do speed, right? So they close them under 30 days. And I could do some of that, but I tend to, since I owned a roofing company, I'm really out to see successful roofing companies, and the ones that keep their profit margins up tend to be more successful long-term.
Right. Good reminder, right? Like keep your profit margins up, be successful long-term. Like,
yeah.
Simple stuff, but we sometimes forget it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a typical size roofing company that you guys like work with, like a sweet spot, or?
Actually, at the size we've gotten at now, like I work with just about anyone. And now, if I were to say I prefer companies a little bigger, mainly because typically at that point they have someone in-house that, like their office person or someone that I communicate directly on their files on a regular basis. But it's not to say I don't work with, a one-man band that has, does 5, 6 roofs a year, does everything out of the garage, right? And I do fine with that. It's just sometimes the communication is a little longer because they're doing so much and they're doing everything. Like the communication takes a little longer. Because in supplement, there still is communication. You can't just, I think you probably see this in your marketing. You have to still be engaged in whatever service you're going to pass off, right? Like I can't just say, hey, look, Joseph, can you just fix all my marketing issues? Like just fix it all. Like I don't have time, just fix it all, right? And same like, hey, look, I have struggled with all my supplements. Just fix it. Like if you have chaos here, just because you're going to give your chaos to me, I can fix some of your chaos, but there's still going to be chaos. So that still means you're going to need to apply some time and energy. Now I may be able to make it a lot easier for you to get rid of some of that chaos and be able to help you manage and make it workable, but there's still going to be engagement that's going to be needed from you to create a real successful like supplement process and team, right? Because there's going to be like, hey, what's going on with this file? The sooner you can reply to me, the sooner I can move forward with the file. Like, so if you wait a week, like, okay, it took a week, and then you're like, why is it taking so long? Well, it took you a week to reply back to a message that I sent a week ago. And well, you should have just known. Well, that's why I was asking, right? And there's just basic communication. And I'm sure the shared marketing, hey, look, this is, what are you wanting? Like, did you like what we put together? So there's just engagement side of it. So company's a little bigger, the engagement happens to go a little smoother for us.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we used to have an agency where we ran ads and things for clients, and we'd be like, hey, Greg, like, we need to run your Facebook ads, but we need content from you. Like, we're not using stock photos. We're not, using generic things. Like, and if you're not getting us content, it's really hard for us to do our job. So that's one of the reasons we transitioned into trainings to teach people how to do it. And I agree, like, nothing against owners, but like, if there's someone in addition to the owner that can be that point person for communication, that's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. Yeah. I mean, that collaboration is huge. So yeah, you have an inside look as far as a lot of businesses. Are there, besides what you just mentioned, having systems and people that communicate and collaborate, are there kind of common denominators for success that you see?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, if you don't have a CRM system, I come across a lot of them. Like, I'm like, look, I get it. They're not always the cheapest thing, but there are cheap ones, like some form of it. If you're not organized, you're just going to create a ball of stress moving forward. And the bigger you get, it's the bigger ball of stress. And so the more you're able to create and navigate communication throughout your company, CRMs do a phenomenal job of this and keeping everyone on the same page, what's going on a file, be able to track a lead from start to finish, right? Like, a lead comes in. Did we follow up on that lead? Did we only follow up once with that lead? Did we follow up twice, right? Like, CRMs help you manage all this stuff. And I think companies that don't have this implemented, even, just a small guy, like I get, you can run a one-man band, but having CRM it's like having an admin on your team, and being diligent to input the information. I think the other side is making sure everyone in the company's on the same page, is another one. Sometimes you'll see the owner wanting to go this direction, office manager wanting to go in this direction, and it just creates conflict, and we'll see the conflict exist just in communication. Like, owner wants to outsource it, office manager wants to in-house it, right? And so you just can tell. You're just like, okay, like, we'll do as much as we can, but we can see there's friction that exists.
Yeah, we see the same thing as well. Yeah, it comes back to just, getting clear on what is the vision, what do you want, being aligned with that, and then you're going to have more success with any aspect of business. Yeah, CRM. We actually interviewed a CRM consultant, CRM expert yesterday on our podcast. Not at a specific CRM, but he does consulting, and like, one of the things is like this, kind of deep dive into your processes. Like, what is your workflow? Like, what do your processes look like? And then we can go out and look at different CRMs and see what's going to be the best fit for you. Something that you're not going to outgrow in 2 years, like something that you can grow into. That's going to be, like I said, or alluded to, an asset to your company.
Yeah, I agree. I think with CRMs also help fine tune your systems and processes, right? So going back to scalability, if you ever want to scale, I know everyone wants to do like a $10 million company. Well, $10 million companies, they have process and systems for everything, right? It goes through, right? And so that way, when you go to hire, you can put someone in, this is the process, this is the system, and you can get them up quicker instead of throw them out into the wolves and tell them just, survive, or, throw them in the deep end and hope you can swim.
Yeah, I've done that plenty of times. It doesn't work too well.
Right. No, it doesn't, and startups, I'll be honest, in startups, there's a lot of that, right? It's just figure it out. Hopefully you know how to survive.
Yeah, we had a really good growth spurt at the beginning of this year. Now we're kind of like, still steady, but like, I've been spending more time. I haven't been traveling much the past month. I've been spending more time on processes. Like, instead of just doing the thing, whatever the thing is that needs to be done, let me take an extra half an hour and get the Google Doc out on my other screen and just bullet point out what I'm doing, record some screen share, or record my screen and show people what I'm doing. So my mindset there is like, okay, if I can spend an extra half an hour to document this process, maybe I never have to do this thing again. Maybe someone else does it. And that's freeing. I know it can be hard because we're trying to accomplish so much in a day, but just like pulling back a little bit and developing those processes is huge. So how about on the flip side of that, some stumbling blocks that you see like too many roofing companies making, like just, if you could just tell them like, hey bro, like there's a landmine over there. I see it. You don't see it, but I see it. Like, don't go that way.
Yeah. I'd probably say, I'd probably say communication with homeowners is probably one of the largest stumbling blocks in setting the right expectations that create big problems for you. I'm a big fan of under promise and over deliver. Mm-hmm. And so like this is probably a simple one, right? So let's say it's a storm area. Let's say it's Minnesota, right? And you might be in a cash flow pinch, right? So something you can do for cash flow is slow down your production, right? So if you slow down your production, you're not putting as much money out, which then gives you time to collect the money, right? So then instead of saying, let's say you could roof in 4 weeks, but you're like, hey, look, instead of 4 weeks, I'm going to tell them 6 weeks, right? So now I just pushed it out 2 weeks. And potentially I could call them up on the 6 week mark and, hey, look, we got a little busy. We can push it out to the 7 week mark, right? And so now I just bought an extra 3 weeks of cash flow management time. And I think, learning to understand that management of cash flow when you're growing is really huge. I think another side is a lot of companies don't cost out a job before they do it. Like, hey, look, this is my potential, what I'm going to make on this job, or even have an idea of how much money is sitting out there for you to collect. So that way, when you see a supply house bill of, let's say, $200,000, $300,000, and the supply house bill is going to call you and you're like, well, crap, this sucks. Well, it might not be that way, because if in your accounts receivable, you have $800,000 in your accounts receivable, you're like, oh, this is not a huge deal. I got enough money potentially coming in to cover the supply house bill. So there's there, right? So it allows you to sleep better at night. So it's managing some of those little things that help set the right expectation. So I think the biggest thing is setting the right expectation. I'm also a big fan of doing things right the first time. I know it may take longer. Like one of the big things for us is taking photos of the property, right? And so I'm like, as the sales guy, the sales guy typically should be the guy taking the photos. If not, you should have someone else in your company that goes and schedules it. But the sales guy's there already. It takes, to do a thorough inspection, probably takes, let's say, 35 to 40 minutes to do a good, thorough property inspection. That 30, 40 minutes is just compounded huge, right? If you were to pass that off to someone else, it'd take that individual 20, 30 minutes just to get to the property, another 20 or let's say 30, 40 minutes to view it, and then 30, 40 minutes to come back. So it took him, let's say, almost 2 to 2.5 hours to do the documentation of one property. You were there and you got it done in 30 minutes. And then you don't have to go back to that property. And you're on the site and you have all the information. So I find that in areas that we're able to save time and cutting corners, and I'm trying to get to the next client to sign, that if you finish and did it right the first time, you eliminate all the stress later down the road.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I saw a video testimonial on, I guess, your Facebook or SFY.
Oh yeah.
The sales rep who was like so pumped that he got an extra $1,000 in his commission check for that project, because he said he took 2 extra minutes to take a few extra photos.
Yeah, right. And because the other side, they are taking photos, right? So it's like, if you just learn to take the right photos consistently, like, it'll be huge. And it means something more for the homeowner, right? And I know everyone's trying to rush through the process, but I'm like, part of being a professional is if it takes you a little longer to do something and you have the documentation to back it, it changes the perspective of the homeowner's client view. Because let's say they had a second, let's say you're the second roofer at the house. The first roofer inspected the property. Let's say the roof is totally damaged, right? They already know they need to file a claim. Everything's going forward. But it took them 5 minutes to get up. They're back down. Here's photos. Here's the damage. Let's file a claim. Versus yourself that knows it's ready to be filed, but you spent 30 minutes on the property, walking the property. That homeowner has a different perspective of you, right? Like, hey, look, the other guy's just a hustler. This guy's a professional. This guy actually spent time at my property. He took pictures of things that wasn't damaged by hail. I was shocked. I didn't even know I had this issue in my house. Like, and I always try to, like, when I was, when I had my roofing company, to find 1 or 2 things that had nothing to do with hail damage, because it creates the level of trust and honesty that's like, hey, look, I'm not here just to try to push everything's getting paid by the insurance carrier. I'm going to run a level of trust, right? So when you show that, it builds that level of trust with the homeowner.
Yeah, you're that trusted advisor.
Right.
That's one of our core values. We try to live by that as well, or we do live by that. And while you're talking about photos, I got to plug not us, but necessarily, but the importance of, while you're on the job, take some photos that you can use in marketing as well, because you're documenting damage and all the details and things like that. 100% necessary. But then, zoom out, go to the front, go to the street, whatever. If you have your drone, rip that thing out and just get some photos that you can use in your own content, or you can give to the company. If you have a marketing manager at your roofing company, to give to that person that they can use in marketing, because we train marketing managers at roofing companies. Mostly that's like our bread and butter client. And a lot of times they'll show up to our calls and be like, yeah, I'm trying to get content. The guys are just giving me these crappy photos. I can't really do anything with them because they're like the close-up damage photos. You got to like zoom out and get the front elevation, get the drone shots. And again, like, it's training. It's like, train the sales guys on or sales guys, girls, on what you want, what looks good, give them examples and say, can you take an extra, 5 minutes to get these photos? Because it's going to help all of us be more successful, right? We're going to use them in marketing. We are going to be able to, run better ads. We're going to be able to get you guys more appointments. You're going to make more money. The company's going to make more money. We're going to be able to service more homeowners, more clients, and everyone wins, right? Take the extra couple minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, right? It's going back to doing things right the first time, right? So typically when I roofed, I made sure the sales guy followed up with the client after the roof was done, right? And that's typically at the end of the day. How much longer would it take to, hey, look, especially if you have the client happy smile face in front of their new house, right? Like what great, better photo is that of the homeowner excited about their new roof, right? And you could easily take that photo shot, as well as it goes back to marketing. I always said, we did that. And I also told everyone, you got to knock the 6-8 neighbors of the house right beside it. Those are great leads. They saw the roof get done, they went up, got done, and move forward, right? Those are great opportunities for you to pick up another lead, right? It takes an extra 15 minutes max to go knock the neighbor, and you might have another deal. And just going back to do things the right way is actually faster.
Yeah, you're right. Follow the processes, and they're all simple, they take work, but they're all pretty simple, like nothing revolutionary,
Right.
What do you see? I'm curious about this for myself. What do you see I'm sure there's a lot of differences. You have the roofing industry, you have water mitigation.
Right.
I don't know, any business differences, any differences in mindsets or things like that you see?
Yeah, mindset's huge, right? So roofers are more type personality driven. They're less organized. They're willing to take more risks and drive harder. The water mitt clientele tends to be a slower paced and more methodical. They tend to be a little bit more business mindset actually in the water space. And mostly that's probably because they're buying franchises. So the people going into it, they saved money, they're leaving one job to go to this job type thing. Yeah, I'd probably say in the water space, it's probably 85% of the water companies are franchised.
Okay.
Where probably in the roofing space, I think you might have 5%, if you're lucky. There's only a few that I know of in the franchise world in the roofing space.
Yeah, there's a few popping up here and there, but they don't seem to get much traction. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few that I kind of really know of. I think it's like Bulldog Roofing, Storm Guard, and then that's about it off the top of my head that I know of.
Yeah, Mighty Dog.
Mighty Dog, that's what it's. Mighty Dog. It's Mighty Dog.
Yeah, there's one out there in Denver. We've worked with those guys. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, Storm Guard's probably the most prominent one. Cool. Well, back to the roofing industry. What where do you see, I mean, you have a lot of insight, you're a smart guy. Where do you see the roofing industry heading over the next 5 years or so? How can roofing company owners kind of, continue to innovate, stay ahead of the curve, continue to be relevant?
Yeah, I think the level of professionalism is going to have to go up to another level, as far as honest and integrity. Things that you were able to get away with, you'll end up getting caught with. In the perspective of, let's say, you're billing for starter, or let's say you billing the insurance company to change out the drip edge, the step flashing, and turtle vents, and you're reusing those items, and you can try to justify whatever it is in your mindset, but technically that's insurance fraud, right? And it's, because you're billing for something you technically didn't do. If you change the bill that I removed it or detach and reset, that's a different scenario. But like that stuff's going to get caught much easier. There are technologies at the point that is going to start catching people. So I see like the level of professionalism is going to need to go up to another level. I do think the communication with the insurance carriers is getting more difficult, like Liberty and Safeco's becoming more difficult in pushing back. So I probably see a little bit more public adjusters on the residential sides becoming probably a bigger need in the future. And what that process looks like, I'm not totally sure, but that's probably something coming down the road. Now, Symbility is probably a big one that the insurance carriers, Liberty and Safeco, moved to Symbility. In the water mitigation space, NextGear bought Symbility, the company itself. So I was able to actually talk to one of the guys over there that's on the pricing structure of Symbility. I think, honestly, I like competition. So I think it would be nice to have competition. The main software is Xactimate that's used. But Symbility, I think, probably has about a year, maybe a year and a half to fix their pricing issue. So there's going to be huge pricing issues with Liberty Mutual and Safeco for the next year and a half, at least. And I don't foresee Symbility going away right away. The CoreLogic, the company that bought them, has a lot of money. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, so they have the money to ride the storm. So I think a lot of people like, oh, it's just going to die out and weed away. I don't think they're just going to go away, because I had heard word on the street is there are two other carriers that will come over to Symbility, which will change the pricing module, which goes to the need for more public adjusters to defend the claim. Because an Xactimate estimate, let's say it's like $60,000 estimate in Xactimate for a roof and all the other stuff going on, in Symbility probably gets to like a 32, 33. So it's like jaw-dropping difference. But the other side is the carriers making bank, right? But they'd say it. So if they're paying $60,000 claims and they're only paying, let's say, 30, so they're pocketing an extra $30,000 on the claims. They can tell to go to court. Go to court. I'll pay all the other ones, right? Because all the other claims that don't get paid out.
Right.
So, I don't. The guy said that's not their model, but I'm like, it could be. Like, as much I hate to say it, right? They're a business, right? So if I can save your money this way, now is it right or ethical? Those are all different discussions and topics, but from profit line dollar sense, I can see why someone might want to make that decision.
All right, good insight based on your being in the weeds with all this stuff pretty much every day. So good, I appreciate you sharing, Greg. Are you going to be at any what events are you going to the rest of this year?
Oh, let's see here. I'm going to go to Florida, the FRSA. Then I'll be at RoofCon. I have some water shows. I'll probably be at Job Nimbus event. I think there's another one in December. I don't have to figure it out. I don't know. The first quarter of the year, first 2 quarters of the year, I did like 20 shows, and that was a lot. Between the roofing and water space.
Yeah, same here. I know. The first half of the year is pretty heavy.
Yeah, you're just like, you live on a plane out of a suitcase, and everyone's like, oh, it's exciting. I'm like, no, it's traveling this frequency this much. It's not like it's work.
Well, you have 70 people though. Do you need to be at every show now, like at the size that you're at?
Not. I probably
personally.
personally, I probably necessarily don't have to be. I like to be because I know it's where the growth curve and where the like for me, it allows me to see where other opportunities may lie and exist for us as a company. So when I'm out in the field more, talking to clients and or other vendors, allows me to see opportunities quicker and sooner.
Yeah.
I probably my next major hire, and I probably have two more before I get there. Like I'd like to get an actual sales manager that would manage all that for me, and all the shows and that type of stuff. Because currently I do all that. I book all the shows, book do all the into hotels and all that.
Oh wow.
And but I would like to first get a person to actually help me with my marketing money first there, and then probably another salesperson, and then a sales manager after that. So got a few other steps before I get there, but it's just kind of slowly picking your battles and grinding.
Yeah, I hear you. There is like no replacement for being out there in the field, having dinners, having coffee, meeting face to face, talking shop. Like it's, that market intelligence, number one, and number two, those real relationships that we get to build.
Yeah.
We're smaller than you guys are, but similar situation. Like I want to go, and we're almost there. Like I want to be able to go to like RoofCon or another show where I'm not sitting at the booth for, 3 days. That it's a grind, right? I'd rather, we have our team that can be at the booth, and we had that at RoofCon last year, and I can bounce around and talk to you and go have dinner or, go hopefully get on stage or do a breakout session and things like that, because there's, so much value in there for that. So yeah, there's a couple events I went to in the spring, man. I'm sitting in this, like in the hotel conference room and sitting at a booth for a couple of days with like no sunlight. Like it's just I'm like, all right, it's just not good for the soul. So
yeah, I agree. So I think I probably about another year or two of hardcore traveling, and then I'll be there.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thanks so much for sharing. I would, I know like we could probably go on and on, but I want to respect your time. Do you have like 3 minutes to stick around for a little lightning round of some rapid fire questions?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. These are always fun. I like to ask them. I think it's, we gotta entertain people, and it's not all about business. Like you said at the beginning, we gotta throw some rubber chickens around, we gotta do that sort of thing. So you mentioned books. What is a current book that you're reading?
So I just finished Who Moved My Cheese. My next one I'm reading is Skin in the Game. And then outside of those, I read a ton of science fiction books, sci-fi books. So I do new genre books is like role-playing type video game book writing skills of like a character that's being built and back and forth story behind it. So that's kind of some of the like when I'm not listening to workbooks, because I need to sometimes disengage my mind from work. So that's what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, I identify. I always read 2 books at a time. I have one I read in the morning. That's like the business or personal development, and then the one I read in bed at night, which is a little bit lighter. Could be a biography. Right now, I'm reading "Way of the Warrior Kid" by Jocko Willink.
Okay.
And
I saw Jocko the other day. He's great.
What's that?
I said I saw Jocko the other day at the last show I was at. So he's a great guy.
Yeah. Which one was that?
Blue Collar with Lee Hike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a great job. He's a great speaker.
I bet, man. He's he's awesome. All right, cool. How about we were talking about this before we hit record. What's your morning routine like? I'm always fascinated with how leaders and impactful people start their day.
Yeah, so I probably don't have as tight of a morning routine. So there's probably a few things I make sure I do the night before. I make sure to set like what is my main goal that I need to get done for the next day. So whatever that goal is, and I try to focus on 1 or 2 major goals. And then I try to currently, since I'm working out a lot, what's my workout time going to be? When and where am I going to work out? And so those are probably my 2 major focuses that I make sure I get done. And then, I probably do, since I like a protein shake in the morning, so I try to keep my morning super simple and grind from there. That's typically probably my morning routine.
Cool. I mean, that's good. I mean, everyone I asked really has some intention behind what they do. in the morning.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I just wake up and I don't know, I'm not sure. Check my
Right.
phone and see what fires I can put out,
Right.
Hey, we've all been there, but that's not a
Yeah.
good way to start the day. So it's got to
No.
be intentional, whatever it is.
Right.
How about your next travel destination, personal, business, whatever?
Business is going to be in Minnesota. I'm doing a project with GF.
Nice. Good company to align with.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. They're great guys.
All right. So you've got, no business to do, no chores to do. You got a free Saturday. What is Greg doing?
So Saturdays is grind extra hard. So I go to the gym probably for 3 hours. So I do an hour of yoga, probably about 45 minutes of cardio, and then I lift with my personal trainer. And then after that, it opens up. Then I do either movie, like escape rooms. So I like to play those a lot.
I noticed that. Yeah.
I've done almost a lot of them here in Denver. So I'm having to start going outside the city of Denver to do that. Or just hang out with some friends. I also like playing a card game called Nerds. It's just a bunch of guys. It's like a group solitaire game.
Cool, man. Love it.
That's my typical Saturday.
Awesome. All right. And if people want to learn more about how SFY can help them or educate them or all that good stuff, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, they can find me at sfyoffice.com. All our stuff's there. You can give us a call. You can drop in a message. You want to talk to us, or the university links right there as well. Or if you want to go to the school, it's sfyuniversity.com. Either or get you there. And that's probably the fastest, quickest way to get a hold of us.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I know this will bring a lot of value to the audience. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was great being on the show. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Look forward to seeing you at an upcoming trade show.
Yeah, likewise.
All right, guys. Hope you got some value from that conversation with Greg Marthaler. Really solid guy. If you happen to run into him online or in person at one of the events, go up to him, introduce yourself. He's a really genuine guy and not going to try to sell you on anything. He just really wants to provide that value, as you can probably tell. So I'm excited to have had him on. Now, if you have found value in this, I really appreciate if you could share this out on your social media, take a screenshot of it, share it on your stories, send it to someone in a DM that you know could get some value out of it. And be sure to follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. We're putting out videos every few days here on YouTube. Go subscribe to our podcast, the Nailed It Business of Construction podcast, wherever you listen to your premium audio. And follow me on Facebook and on Instagram at Hey Joseph Hughes. I'm putting out content every day. We're putting out little video clips and reels and having a lot of fun with it. So I'd love to connect with you, get to know you a little bit more, and help you however I can. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.